Benny, Ben Pierce in the house, talking some Lightning hockey. What's going on, pal? How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, man. I am so jacked up about Lightning season. I'm so happy that we're getting closer and closer to opening night. And of course, you guys know Ben, beat writer and manager of media relations for the Tampa Bay Lightning. What was the big story? What was the big takeaway from morning skate today, my brother?
Well, the big thing is the Lightning are getting healthy, right? I think
Yes.
everybody's been talking about Vasilevsky not being on the ice. He's been on the ice now 2 days in a row with the team. So that's the big thing, is seeing Vasy out there. And he's not the only one. Obviously, just a day ago, we saw Dominic James and Pontus Holmberg both out there in red no contact jerseys. Both of those guys were on the ice today in regular practice jerseys. Now, Holmberg didn't skate with the game group today. Dominic James did, so I would expect to see Dominic James in the lineup tonight, probably not Pontus Holmberg. But the fact that there were no red jerseys and Vasilevsky skated is a great sign, because obviously the best way to start any season is fully healthy. So knock on wood, but things are progressing correctly in that way. So I'd say if you're a Lightning fan, you got to like what you're seeing, particularly on the health front for the Tampa Bay Lightning so far.
What do we think about a guy like Victor Hedman? I know he still hasn't out there. Any worries or trepidation there about Heddy?
I don't think so. I think especially because, like Coop said, he expected to see these guys later in the week, and he included Victor Hedman in that statement. He was talking about Heddy and Pontus Holmberg when he said it, and Pontus took the ice today. I don't want to speculate, but I think with Victor Hedman too, I would expect to see him back out there pretty quickly. The other thing is, obviously, the Hedman family lost a pretty special part of their family with their pet. Harry, the big part of the Lightning family, and you see him on t-shirts all over the place. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but want to send our thoughts out to the Hedman family as they go through that as well. So but the big thing is, John Cooper said the other day he expected him and Holmberg back by the end of the week. So I'll take Coop at his word on that one.
Yeah, no doubt about it. We mentioned it earlier today on the program of, Harry, our guy, passing over the Rainbow Bridge last night. We know how important that he was to the entire Hedman family and the work that Victor does in the Humane Society. And it's just our hearts, really do go out to the whole family over there. And yeah, I'm with you. I'm not too overly concerned about Victor's availability for next Thursday. And, Ben, to be honest with you, going into the season, I was still like, all right, well, I don't know where I wasn't as bullish. I was very bullish on the Bucks. I thought they were going to have a really good year. Seems like we're on our way to that happening. And one of the things I really wanted to see, Ben, that I haven't seen the last couple of years is I wanted to see some push from underneath. I wanted to see guys pushing to get into the lineup. I wanted to see guys that are like, hey, if a guy's not playing well, he's going to go down, or a guy's going to sit and another guy's going to go in. And I know a lot of that has to do with the salary cap and how close the Bolts have been up to it. But man, they've quelched all of my concerns in that aspect, because we've seen so many different players that maybe we didn't think we were going to be a factor in, making tough roster decisions. And even some of the guys that got sent down. I mean, Benny, some of these guys that aren't the Kucherov and Points of the world and Gensels of the world and Hagels of the world, like, they've really impressed so far. Who's really stood out to you?
I think the big one for me is a guy that we didn't really know much about when camp started, and that's Wojtek Stachowiak.
Yeah.
And this is a guy that did get sent down this week to the American Hockey League with the Syracuse Crunch now, but he's played professionally in Germany now the last 6 seasons, and he said he wanted to make this team, but he's got the second most points on the Lightning this preseason. We saw a 3-point game out of him earlier in the preseason. Like, knowing that you have that guy stashed in the American Hockey League, he can come up and play games if you need it. He's played professional hockey before. He's got dreams of playing for Germany in the Olympics this winter. Like, the fact that you have that as a recall option is great. Now you throw in the fact that you've got Boris Tkachuk, a guy who this organization knows really well, who played really, really well in the preseason when we saw him. He's a recall option. I think he showed really well, and everybody really talked about that part of it. Jack Finley, for me, though, I think that has been the big highlight of camp for me, the person that I've really been watching. And I wrote a story about it this week, particularly in the faceoff circle. No player this preseason has played more games and has taken more faceoffs for the Tampa Bay Lightning than Jack Finley. And if you don't think that's intentional, you're wrong. Because, listen, the Tampa Bay Lightning this offseason, they didn't make many changes to their roster. They really like this group, and they've said as much all offseason. We think we're close. We're really just kind of tinkering around the edges. One change they did make was they let their best face-off guy go in 37-year-old Luke Glendening.
Right.
Now, Luke Glendening has long been a face-off expert in the NHL. He's really made a career out of it. He's so good at it. And when he was here last year, he spent a lot of time working with the younger Bolts like Connor Geekie on here's how you can get better at this. And Jack Finley has spent a lot of time the last couple of years working on face-offs. It's something he really wants to be good at. He's got the big frame. The guy's 6'6". If he can carve out that role in that bottom six where he's going to come in and win the big face-off, kill some penalties. I mean, the other night, forgive me, I can't remember off the top of my head now if it was against Florida or Nashville, but he was the lone forward on a 3-on-5 penalty kill. Now, I get, again, it's preseason. You're not dressing your full NHL lineup. But he's a 23-year-old guy trying to crack an NHL roster, and if he's killing a two-man disadvantage, two-man penalty kill, they've got trust in this guy. Right. And I think we're seeing that. He hasn't scored yet this preseason. He's not on the score sheet. But quite frankly, on this Lightning roster, you don't need to be scoring 15 to 20 goals in this bottom six to be a productive member of this team. If you play responsibly in the defensive zone, especially if you're a center, you're playing responsibly, you're winning faceoffs, you're doing your job, and then you can chip in some offense as well. That's great. But on the other side of that, Jack Finley can also play on the wing. Mm-hmm. Tonight, based on the morning skate today, it looks like we might see Dominic James, another guy who's really shined at camp. And I know you mentioned it. You asked Coop about it the other night after the game. We could see some guys moving around. And you mentioned the cap space. The fact that the Lightning have this depth, the fact that they've got the ability to carry some extra bodies, you got to be pretty excited because that inner competition is going to be there all year long. And it's just going to push guys to continue to grow, whether you're in the top six, the bottom six, a guy on the top line in the American Hockey League. You're going to get opportunities to play all year long. And that's what's really important with this team is you have to be playing your best. And if you're not, somebody else might be trying to take your job.
Yeah, that in-team competition, that friendly competition, I think is what every good team needs. And we've seen that with Florida the last couple of years, man. They've really cycled guys in on that bottom six during the postseason. It's another way to stay fresh as well. You mentioned Connor Geekie. I want to ask you about him because I have aspirations of, I think Connor Geekie in the long run should be on the first line with Point and Kucherov because I feel like he brings that physical. He's a bigger guy, kind of the Andre Palat type of player. And then I would love to see Gensel with Hagel Sorelli. And then that bottom six, I mean, you have so many different options there. But we're looking at a third line guy. I know it's just a morning skate today. It looked like he was taking fourth line rushes, and it was on the wing, I think. So where are we at with Connor Geekie as far as his progression? We know he made the team last year. We know he got sent down. Valuable experience there at the AHL. Talking a lot with Connor Sheary there, and it's pretty cool to see Connor Sheary doing really well with the Rangers now. He could make that team. But where are we at with Connor Geekie as far as his development, and where do you think his role will be at the least in the very start of the season, Ben?
I think it's going to be pretty fluid, right? I think it's going to be similar to last season. But the thing with Connor Geekie is I know people are really excited about Connor Geekie, and they should be. I think even this preseason, we've seen improvement from the player we saw at the end of last year. And he made a lot of strides over the course of last season from when he first got here. But people forget sometimes that hockey's not like a lot of other sports where if you draft a guy in the first round, you expect that player to be in your opening night lineup that season, right? It's typically a league where unless you're a top 5 pick, you expect that player usually to go back to juniors for a year or two, maybe spend a year in the American Hockey League, develop, and then come up at an older age. Connor Geekie's only 21 years old, which is really hard to forget when you look at him because he does have that big body and he does play that rough and tumble. He looks like an NHL player. Obviously, the missing teeth helps that part of the equation. But,
no doubt.
He looks like an NHL player, and that's a big part of the math. Is does he look the part? And he does. It's just a matter of putting it all together. He's only 21. He still has time to do it, and we see flashes of it. Like, whoa! If the skating and the physicality and the shot and the defense all comes together, you could have a top line player. And we saw it in junior. When he played in the WHL, he was a phenomenal player, and that's why he was a first-round pick. That's why he was such a highly touted prospect and why the Lightning were so excited to get him. and they still see a lot of potential there. And even like John Cooper said, I believe it was in Orlando, he said like Connor Geekie at 21 years old is already so far ahead of the curve for his age. You know, like people might see him playing further down the lineup and think like, why is he down there at this age? But he's only 21. And I think we forget that. It's easy to see like, oh, we got this exciting prospect, this exciting young forward who just played 50 games. Why isn't he further up the lineup? Well, I'll tell you why he's not up further up the lineup. Jake Gensel, Nikita Kucherov, Braden Point, go down the list. It's like, realistically, you want him to learn how to play. And again, if he's going to play next to a guy like Yanni Gord, Oliver Bjorkstrand, and we've seen him on some special teams this preseason too. And it's not the worst thing in the world if Connor Geekie plays 12 to 15 minutes a night in the bottom six and then sees time on special teams as well and learns how to be that player who can play on the power play, whether it's at the net front or up top, learns how to kill penalties. And then he's a more well-rounded player too. Like, it's not a bad thing. And he's still just so young. I'm really excited to see what he does this year. I thought he had a great rookie year. And even in the way that last year he handled that demotion, if you will, if that's what you want to call it, to Syracuse and came back up and really took control again at the end of the year, you got to love it. And they talked about it all summer long. Like, that's exactly how we want players to handle that. He did fantastic. He was a monster in the American League last year when he went down there, almost a point per game player. He belongs in the NHL, I believe, to start the season. I fully believe that. He believes it. He wants to be here. But he's also said, like, I'm not taking anything for granted. I'm going to keep trying to get better every single day. And you see him, he's one of those guys after practice that he's always working on the little things, the face-offs, the quick foot, the turning out of the corner, getting the shot off a little bit quicker. And his shot is maybe the one thing I've been most impressed with this preseason. It's got a little extra zip on it. So I'm interested to see maybe if we see some more goals out of Connor Geekie this season.
Oh, I love that. I love that. So, yeah, we talk about the bottom six. I want to ask you about the third pairing. I think we have an idea that it's going to be Hedman, Moser, and then McDonough and Chernak. And, you know, we're looking at that, you know, that third D pairing now, right? We know they really like, the Bolts really like Lilleberg, and we know that not this past year, but the year before in the playoffs, like that chemistry with him and Crozier. But let's not forget, we got Darren Radish, who scored a goal the other night. He's been around. He's been in the system for a long time. And then Declan Carlisle, and we were joking upstairs, Declan Carlisle. I love the emphasis on the Paul Porter the other night called him Declan Carlisle. Like, oh, okay, I didn't know he switched up the emphasis on the pronunciation there. But what do you make of that third D pairing, Ben? Is it going to be as fluid as you just said with Connor Geekie? Because I think that there's probably 8 guys for 6 spots there when it comes to the entire D corps.
Again, for an organization that I think a lot of people rag on for, they haven't had many draft picks in the last couple of years, or maybe they don't develop as well. They just go out and they trade all their picks and they go and get all these guys externally. You got to give so much credit to this scouting group and to Julian Brisebois and everybody in this organization for what they've done. When you look at this defensive group, you've got 8 guys, possibly more than that when you look down in the American League and what we saw in the preseason, that if you needed to, could step in and play an NHL game today. There aren't a ton of NHL teams out there that have that.
Right.
They might have 7, but to go beyond 7, there's a lot of teams in this league that don't feel super comfortable with their 7th defenseman, right? There's a reason that a lot of teams don't feel comfortable carrying 7 defensemen. A lot of them have to call up somebody if somebody gets hurt. In Tampa Bay this year, I think that's one of the big questions is, are we going to see, like we did last year, are we going to see 12-6? Are we going to see 11-7? 12 forwards, 6 defensemen, 11 forwards, 7 defensemen. Does it change depending on who you're playing on a given night? I would think we start at 12-6, but at the same time, I don't know, because Darren Radish has become such a good part of this power play. That's one of the best in the NHL. He's coming off a career year offensively, and he doesn't have maybe the physicality that you would get from a guy like Emil Lilleberg, who's really cemented himself on that third pair physically. And he had a great year last year. But Darren Radish is so good with the puck, and he's really kind of cemented himself on that second power play unit. But Max Crozier this camp's been really, really good. Like, he looks NHL ready. And then you watch Declan Carlisle, and he blends right in with the NHL guys too. So I think it's really good. And Coop said, I believe it was like the second or third day camp, he's like, the best decisions are the ones that are tough on us, because it
Mm-hmm.
means we've got a good group of guys in this room that are making our choices hard and difficult. And that's what we want. And that's going to be a tough decision of, well, how do you get from 8 to 7? And if you have to, how do you make 7 to 6? I honestly think it's probably going to be a matchup game all year long of who do we play
Mm-hmm.
tonight? What does it look like? What's their penalty kill, their power play? How are we going to sort this out? But if you're the Lightning, you've got to be thrilled with the fact that you've got 8, maybe 9 guys that on any given night could step in and play an NHL game for you this year on the back end, because that is something that not many NHL teams have, especially to start a year. Maybe midway through when a guy gets
Mm-hmm.
40, 50 games in the American League, but to start the year that way, you got to be thrilled with that if you're a Lightning fan.
We agree with our guy Benny. This guy knows what he's talking about. You get that right, Benny. This guy's name is Benny too.
Let's go.
Our guy thought 345. Greg J is the best gets. Always learn something. Hell, maybe I'll even give soccer a try. Watch out, Greg the Cruz in the house. I want to ask you about the division now, Benny, because listen, going into the year, you're like, all right, well, Florida, they're obviously ruling the roost, but the injury to Barkov is just you can't make. He's the captain of a Stanley Cup team. Like you don't make up for that very easily. And Matthew Tkachuk obviously is going to be out for a while too. And they do have some guys, and they brought back all of their free agents, but Marchand and Ekblad ain't getting any younger out there either, right? So they're going to be heavily relying on those guys, and neither is a guy like Sergei Bobrovsky between the pipes. And then Toronto, with Marner now being in Vegas, and then you look at some of these other teams, yeah, they could close the gap a little bit. We see with Montreal and Ottawa and what they're doing, and whatever happens with Buffalo and Detroit and the rest, right? I feel like the door is really open for the Lightning to win this division. And I think that the impact of winning the division is something that they haven't been able to really use the last couple of seasons, because they played the eventual Stanley Cup champion in the first round. So it was like, as soon as that first puck drop, it was like, you're in. We know playoff hockey is a different animal, but man, you got to play your best right off the rip. There's no dipping your toe into it. How important is it for this team to be able to get off to a fast start, munch those points, as Coop likes to say, and win this division, Benny? Because I think the opportunity is right there. Do you agree with that sentiment?
100%. And I think, honestly, say what you will, Tampa versus Florida, I don't ever want to see a guy like Barkov go down to injury.
I'm with you.
He's one of the best players in the NHL.
Mm-hmm.
He's unbelievably defensively. I really feel for him for the Olympic side of things too. He was going to go captain Team Finland, and you never want to see a player of that caliber go down. It's really unfortunate. But if you're the Tampa Bay Lightning, it does open a door, an opportunity. They're your in-state rival, a team that just won back-to-back Stanley Cups and has knocked you out of the playoffs now. Like, the door is there. And the Atlantic Division, the other part of it too, is you look at a team even like Ottawa that's been knocking on the door a couple of years. Like, when are they going to really step up as a power here? When are they going to turn the corner? And they're a team that's super hungry this year. They have also got a Tkachuk brother who's looking to start feasting on the Atlantic Division.
Right.
And he talked last playoffs about watching Matthew do this makes me want this even more. Like, I am even that much hungrier watching my brother win back to back, that now I want to do this. So the Atlantic Division is one of the best divisions in hockey. I think anybody in the NHL would tell you that. It's going to be another great year, another tough year. I think for the Lightning, it's just a matter of taking care of business every single day. And you know how often, I don't know how many times this year we're going to hear process over outcome. I'm sure we'll hear it once or twice. That's one of the go-to lines over the course of the year for Coop. But they really believe in this group. And at the media day at the start of the year, Julian Brisebois said as much. He said, part of the reason that we brought back this roster is because we believe in this group of guys.
Right.
We didn't make any big, sweeping, massive changes because we believe in the guys in this locker room. And they believe in it too. Like, they have a sour taste in their mouth from the way that last year ended, because they felt last year that they were really going to make some noise, and it didn't happen. Obviously, you're going up against a team like that. What a first round matchup. I know it was only 5 games, but you look at that crazy comeback in the one game. It was a great series. And I know it was only 5 games, but we got to see some great hockey. And these guys are motivated. I think you want that top seed. You want to get one of those wild card teams for sure. But at the same time, it's like, maybe if you don't, you're still going into this knowing we're playing an Atlantic Division team that last year the point differential was pretty slim between those second,
Mm-hmm.
third, fourth teams. It wasn't like one team had 21 points and then there was a massive gap between the wild card teams. Like, other than that last wild card spot, it was a really tight race all the way down to game. I think it was 81 was when they finally had those top three locked in. Like, it was close. It was tight between the division race. So we'll see what happens. You want that top division spot for sure every single year. It's just going to be a matter of, can we take care of business? And obviously health is a big part of that. Again, knock on wood, the Lightning are entering game one, hopefully with a fully healthy lineup. And if they do that, there's no reason they can't compete again for an Atlantic Division crown.
Ben, before I let you go, I know you're watching more than just the Tampa Bay Lightning as far as the NHL goes. Who's that one player or one team that you're keeping an eye on this season?
That's really tough for me. I honestly, there's one that really intrigues me in the Western Conference, and I think it's the St. Louis Blues.
Okay.
Because last year we saw, first off, the offer sheets were insane, and growing up, I cheered for the Edmonton Oilers, so that one peeved me a little bit when it happened originally. But Dylan Holloway went to the University of Wisconsin, so again, as a Wisco guy, that was a big. I enjoyed watching him play, but that's a team that I think has a pretty good combination of youth, and they've got the physicality you like to see. Obviously, Jordan Binnington's got the grit in net. Mm-hmm. It's kind of that old-fashioned, old-style goalie. I think the guy would wear one of those cheap Halloween goalie masks if he could, right? I think that's a team that's going to be fun to watch this year, regardless of what happens, and they're just fun to watch. That's a team that I'm pretty intrigued, and they've got some decisions to make as well, contract-wise. So the St. Louis Blues intrigue me in the Western Conference, and on the other side of that too, I think in the Eastern Conference, man, the New Jersey Devils. There's been lots of conversations about the Hughes brothers. Obviously, they take care of the Luke Hughes situation this week, just in the last day. So it'll be interesting to see if they can get over the hump as well. And I think it's going to be another great NHL season, and I can't wait to get going here. 1 week from today. Let's go.
That's right, man. Yeah, I mean, that's probably the worst kept secret in hockey. Quinn's like saying all the right things. Yeah, this is great. It'll just be a matter of time before he's playing there in New Jersey with his two brothers. The Hughes brothers reunite. That'll be pretty fun. The one and only Ben Pierce, man, crushing it as always for our Tampa Bay Lightning, the beat writer. You can follow him. Benjamin J. Report. Bro, I was trying so hard to find you on Instagram. I follow you on Instagram. And I have followed you for a long time, but I could not for the love of me find today. So what I did, I searched Ben and Benjamin and Pierce and Lightning. Then what I had to do is I had to go all the way to Gabby Shirley's Instagram.
Followers.
I'm going through all the Gabby stuff of all the likes. And then I was like, BJP, that's what it is. I'm like, oh my God, it was it was a labor of love. And I'm sitting here dying laughing like, bro, Ben, everything else, Benjamin J. Report, Ben Pierce, we got him everywhere. And then BJP totally threw me off. And I usually take pride in like remembering my friends' like handles and stuff like that. And for the love of me, BJP was nowhere near my brain today. But I got it, buddy. And
we're locked in now, though. Hey, it's preseason for everybody, Jay. We're good to go now.
You got that right, buddy. Ben, I always appreciate your time, man. Have a good time tonight. I'll see you next Thursday at Benchmark International Arena for the season opener, Lightning and Sens. Appreciate you, buddy. Talk soon.
Looking forward to it, man. Thank you.
You got it.